Hello and welcome back to Echo. We will be continuing where we left off with the short stories with Party, Metaphor, and finally Trip. There's actually another story that belongs with the Patreon only short stories, except that it was released for the public a long time ago, and it was revamped also. Uh, it's called Benefits, and it's a story featuring Flynn and Carl, and that one German Shepherd dude from Flynn's route. I forgot his name, but yeah, I'm not gonna do that one because it's if you, I would have to censor a lot of it. So yeah, but it basically cements the relationship between Flynn and Carl, and kind of hints to the fact that Flynn really likes Carl, and Carl really likes Flynn, and it kind of showed how Flynn, after Sydney's death, he kind of gravitated towards Carl in the way that, like you lose a sibling, so you kind of adopt someone else, and Carl was that person Flynn decided to adopt. So yeah. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's begin Party, which is a story focused on everyone's favorite musky otter, Chase. Also Carl, but not really, it's more Chase. October 2012. Carl, do you know where the keys are? I dig through my pockets again, but my fingers only rake the grocery list I made and some chump change from the soda I bought earlier. A brief hope, a glimmer of salvation bubbles to the surface when I feel something metal and pointy. When I bring it out though, it's just an old keychain I won at a fair and never bothered to take out. It's even still got the sticker on it. Didn't you leave them on your desk? His voice is barely audible over what I can only imagine are the 10-year-olds he's playing his shooter with. I thought I saw them on your desk. I already checked. They're not. I open the closet drawer. It's filled to the brim with old comics, but still no keys. Maybe they got thrown in the trash by accident? Why would... I rub the bridge of my snout. I'm in no rush to get out today, because the party won't start for an hour and a half at least, but I won't get anywhere without the car keys. Our dorm isn't the largest, but right now, it still feels like I'm trying to find a needle in a haystack. A haystack that isn't usually very well organized. As per usual, I blame Carl. What do you... I hear the sound of a rocket launcher going off. Carl follows up with a stream of swear words, the likes of which I haven't heard since we were 12 and hanging out with Flynn after school. What do you need them for anyway? I got the groceries this morning. Weed. You got weed this morning, Carl. I can smell it from here. I hear an awkward chuckle. You know how it is, healthy greens. Anyway, where are you going? I scour another drawer. This one's full of greeting cards, old ones by the looks of it, congratulating Carl and me for getting into college. I flip each one over before shutting it again. I'm heading to Vincent's place, remember? I thought I told you. I lift one of the vases Carl's mom gave him when we left town. You're actually going? I thought you said that you were going to study tonight. Nah, I got invited and a couple of friends will be there, so I'm going. I spot the keys and let out a sound which, once it's out of my mouth, I realize resembles a deflating balloon. They're right here, Carl. Jesus! They're sitting on the shelf, right next to the TV. I pick them up. I almost feel like doing a little victory dance at this point. I've been looking for these damn things for a solid hour already. Carl's still as stone-faced as ever. I don't know if he's had weed or if he's just in a bad mood. Maybe both. I sit on the bed with him. It's a far more comfortable mattress than the ones that come with the dorm. I think Carl's parents had it especially ordered when he left town. Carl doesn't tear his eyes off the game. Dude, get off my back. I didn't mean to. Shit. The round's over. A cacophony of voices that has served as the background for our conversation abruptly dies out, replaced by the most generic orchestral music I've ever heard. Carl's got the worst score on the board. I don't even have time to say anything before he tosses the controller off to the side. It's a small miracle it doesn't break on impact, considering how hard he's tossing it around. I cross my arms behind my head and get comfortable. You alright, man? You seem kinda mad. Ugh. Carl's hands go to his pockets of his ripped jeans. I could be better. Really? I absentmindedly draw a finger over the keychain of my car keys, the one with the picture of Leo on it. I think it's the first picture I'd ever taken with my own camera. Carl notices from the corner of his eye and playfully smacks my paw away, though it seems to remind him of something as he turns to me and opens his muzzle. How are you holding up? With the whole Leo thing going on, I mean. I have to ponder that for a moment myself. Leo doesn't cross my mind a lot of these days, but when I do think of him, I feel empty, hollow. To the point where I wonder, somewhere in the back of my mind, if leaving Echo's been the right choice. In the end, however, I shake my head to snap out of it, as I always do when asked about Leo. I've done it for my parents, I've done it for my friends, and I've done it for myself when looking in the mirror all alone late at night. It's better this way, you know? I mimic Carl's sitting position, thrusting my hands down my jean pockets. I smirk, inching closer to him. Besides, I got all the man I need right here. It's a poor way to lighten the mood, but Carl falls for it hard, making a mock face of disgust. Ew, pardon? But I don't associate with no queers. He does his best southern drawl. I snort. So, those last, 9 years, that was just you letting me down gently? Exactly! He notices the way I'm sitting, shifting his legs around, and pulls his hands out of his pockets. I'm glad you finally got it after all this time. It's a weight off my shoulders. And here I thought we had something special. We laughed together, almost enough to make me forget about Echo for a moment. Almost. So, this Vincent guy? Is it a date, or...? I roll my eyes. It's just a party, geez. Nothing's gonna happen. If he tries anything funny, just give me a call. Carl takes a large swig from the 2-liter soda bottle sitting next to him. It's almost captivating to watch him down it all in the span of roughly an hour. I think his record's at 45 minutes. I'll come pick you... He cuts himself off with a burp. Pick you up. It's a 5-minute drive, I'll be fine. Thanks, though. Your mom made me promise to look after you, man. He slams the bottle down a bit too hard, soda erupting from the bottle and stains his pants. Well, fuck. I laugh. Sounds like you need more help than I do. He wags a finger at me. Shut it. Can you pass me the towel? Don't you want to come? I toss on the towel hanging over the back of his chair. He invited you too. Nah, you know me, Chase. I'm no good at parties. He's vigorously rubbing at the stain, but it won't come out no matter how much pressure he applies. Hell, I don't even think it's really drying. When he realizes it, he shoots me a pleading glance. There's just a tiny hint of despair in his eyes. It's a look he's given me many times since we were kids, and I know exactly what it means. Nope, you're on laundry duty today, Carl. Remember? I fold my arms over my chest. And you're cooking tomorrow. I got a lecture in the afternoon, something about the importance of composition in photography. He groans and stretches. Composition in photography? Sounds pretty interesting. It is pretty interesting. I eye one of the magazines sitting on the table. It's from a few months back, before we even got here. A layer of dust is starting to form on them. What about your classes? The way he's looking at me, you'd think I said something offensive. My what? I drag a finger through the dust, then bring it up to my face. My paw pad's all gray now, and the dust my paw's kicking up is almost enough to give me a coughing fit. Your classes? How are they? Oh, He shrinks back into his seat, like he's trying to hide behind his hoodie. He finally just shrugs. Okay, I guess. Not bad. I raise an eyebrow. Just okay? It's a business major, Chase. He's given up on rubbing the stain. Not much going on besides numbers. Numbers and more numbers. He snorts. I don't even know how my mom can keep track of all of them. So many numbers. I chuckle. Almost sounds like college. Maybe I should have stayed in Echo. I'm not really cut out for this stuff. I gently squeeze his shoulder. He pulls his beanie down to the point it's almost covering his eyes. I can see him nodding under there, I think. I let it sit there. I don't want to make Carl uncomfortable. His parents put enough pressure on him as it is. Instead, I just put a hand on his shoulder. He leans into the touch, a smile appearing on his face again. He picks up the controller once more and starts a new game. He hastily points towards a second controller. You still have time, right? I look at Carl's pleading grin, then at my watch. Indeed, I still have another hour until I really need to leave, and I have already freshened up and everything. Before I've even managed to grab the controller, almost tripping over the clothes and trash on the floor in the meantime, Carl's already started a match. The voices start up again. There's accusations and shit-slinging abound already. I'm gonna be playing online? Of course you're playing online. The bots are way too easy. I thought that we would just do a versus match or some. My character gets taken down with a headshot almost as soon as I'm in. There's some shrieking on the other end. Come on, Chase, get it together. I'm not used to these controls. I've played one of the older games in the series before. Mostly back in Echo during the summer, when it was so hot that you couldn't even go outside without spontaneously combusting. This one's got an entirely different control scheme, and I only managed to get a grip on it after dying a few times. If Flynn were here, I'm sure he'd have a jab ready. I'm better at side-scrollers, you know. I get stabbed 10 times in the chest by a guy whose nickname leaves a lot to be desired. And fighting games. You suck at fighting games too. I grin at him. I do not suck at fighting games. I beat your ass last time, remember? Only because you used the cheapest character and kept spamming the same move. It stings just a little, but he isn't lying, now that I think about it. I remember reading somewhere that the character I used isn't allowed in tournaments because of how broken he is. Naturally, he ended up being my favorite. Didn't help that he was cute too. Well, you could have dodged it after the 5th time I used it. Seriously? He takes another swig from his bottle. Some droplets fall on his hoodie. That was a bullshit combo and you know it. Somehow I managed to land a headshot on the guy who killed me, and Carl lets out a war cry that sounds like a dying frog. A bit too soon, as I stand out of cover a bit too long, which earns me a rocket to the face from the player who was standing right next to said guy. I swear through gritted teeth, but I persevere, after I get killed by a guy who's blatantly shooting me through walls. However, I just give up. Cheater. It's whatever, I guess. I shift on the bed, kicking up my legs. How about a couple levels of Claw of Destruction? I think I'm done with this one for now, if that's okay. After grabbing a granola bar from the kitchen cabinet, I'm finally on my way to the party. Only half of my mind's actually focusing on the road, the other half can't stop grumbling about the heat. I probably should have put on something other than jeans. Maybe shorts? Or would that look silly? Vincent's place is near the other side of the campus. It's a short drive, but in this heat it feels like miles. My parents' old car doesn't have air conditioning. It'll make visiting them back in Echo torture if I ever do decide to go back there. Perhaps one day. For now, I'm pretty content where I am. Even though I've seen it often, I'm always struck by how gorgeous the campus looks at sunset. Echo's got some nice views, but Pueblo just kicks it to the curb in every aspect. It looks exactly like what the brochures make it out to be, which I've heard is pretty impressive for a place like this. I'm just happy it's got indoor and outdoor pools. I wouldn't be able to survive a week without those. Just driving in this weather is making me seriously long for air conditioning. There's a couple of cars on the parking lot in front of the building already. Mine looks out of place next to all the newer models. Then again, I suppose I'm a bit less affluent when compared to most of the other students here, with their muscle cars and scholarships. It didn't stop me from getting in, at least. Some of the people I recognize from my class wave at me as I pass them, others ignore me and keep on smoking just out of sight. Judging by the smell, it's weed. I shouldn't be surprised. People seem to be a lot more laxed about that here than they are back home. It might be one of the reasons Carl's mom had him go to this university. It takes me a couple of rings to realize the doorbell's busted, even longer to notice a tiny slip of paper stuck to the door telling me to go around the back. When I do, I'm met with a jovial grin of a wolf who already looks like he's had one too many. Vincent walks towards me, arms spread open wide. He's wearing a plain white shirt and the most casual shorts. Looks like I did put on too many layers. When I return the awkward hug he tries to give me, I can smell cheap liquor on his breath, a far cry from the diligent student he usually is during classes. Shades, how are you, man? Doing just fine, thanks. Nice, party you've got going on here. Lots of people. He chuckles, patting my back. There's more inside. Way more. Come on in, I'll show ya. I follow him into the building, through some small hallways. I notice Jenna standing at the other end when we turn a corner. It looks like she's busy reading something. I call out to her, but it doesn't seem like she can hear me. Just when I'm about to try again, Vincent tugs me into his room. It's spacious, I'll give him that much. Busy too. There's tons of people in the living room area alone. Some of them are playing beer pong, others are chatting. Well, it's more like they're shouting to each other over the loud music. A girl from my class I've been working together on a project with, Lana, sits in the corner, playing with her phone. She's wearing a rather eye-catching, revealing red dress, one I'm pretty sure violates some university dress codes. Sometimes she giggles to herself. When I catch her eye, she immediately puts it away and steps over to me. There you are, Chase. It's not like you to be this late. She grins from ear to ear, displaying her almost eerily white teeth. I lean against the wall, eyeing the crowd from a distance with her. I had trouble finding a good parking spot. How's the party? Anything crazy going on? It's been pretty routine so far. We were just getting to the good part. She smiles, tipping her muzzle towards a table. The drinks are over there. The good part? Next to me, Vincent nods, then tilts his muzzle towards the kitchen. His ears perk up. Lana and I went out and got something special for our guests. Part of me already knows what it's going to be, probably booze or something. From what I've heard, it's what college parties are all about. I don't know, this is the first one I've ever been to. Something special, huh? What is it? You'll see. She grabs her phone again, tapping away on it like she's writing a novel. It's going to be good. I kick back and enjoy the party for a bit. This good thing sounds pretty questionable, even more so once Lana disappears into the kitchen before returning with a big silver tray. She passes it from person to person, everyone taking something from it. I try not to think about it too much. By the looks of it, it's not just the usual party snacks. It takes her a while to get through everyone, so I just grab a can of soda from the cooler on the table. It's an off-brand. I guess the booze is more important. Finally, Lana thrusts the tray in front of my face with the widest of smiles. Her enthusiasm only leaves me disappointed when I find nothing but blueberry muffins. Blueberry muffins that smell kind of funny, like they've been out for a few days already. It's like those cakes Janice tried selling at the diner a few years back. I scratch the back of my head. They're just muffins. What's the big deal? A large lion with a long, braided mane pipes up from behind her. Special recipe, man. They're edibles. I've seen the lion around campus before, but I don't know his name, just his face. Think he's in Carl's class. Like, drugs? I take one of the muffins from the tray and bring it up to my nose. Up close, it just smells awful. I narrow my eyes. You're better not be pulling a prank on me. No prank, just try one, Chase. She grins at me. She seems honest enough. Not that I think she's trying to poison me. Now that I think about it, Carl told me about edibles once, about a year ago, I think. Time's been ticking by too fast ever since I graduated from high school. I can't remember what he told me about them specifically. Something about not being able to get high from them. Then again, Carl's probably used to stuff that's a lot heavier. Around me, people are already popping them into their muzzles, like it's no big deal. This probably isn't a prank. Then, unless they laced just one of them and this is just some weird Russian roulette, but with muffins, kind of thing? Should I do this? I mean, I promised my parents I'd try and be responsible while away from home, but I don't think that this would hurt. If it does, I can always just leave. Everyone's eyes are on me when I stick it in my mouth. This peer pressure makes the fur on the back of my neck stand on end. It's not as gross as I expected it to be, at least, thank God. I can still taste a bit of the blueberry in there. The weed part, though, well, I've never used weed, so I don't know what it tastes like. If this is it, it's nothing special. Hell, I don't even feel anything. Lana sets a tray down on the coffee table. A sheep sitting on the couch takes a muffin from it as soon as she leaves it alone. How is it? Are you okay? I shrug my shoulders and drink my soda. I don't really feel anything. Her lips stretch into a thin line, and she looks down at the tray again with a frown. Huh. The line speaks up again, taking a swig from the beer bottle he's holding. Maybe his wasn't all that strong. I sure as hell felt it when I ate mine. Maybe he's just immune to it or something. I shake my head. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it just hasn't kicked in yet. Vince gives my back a smack. Maybe. Didn't think you'd be such a heavyweight, Chase. It's a compliment I don't know how to take, or even comprehend. In fact, even standing feels difficult to grasp at the moment, and I find myself wobbling on my feet once he pulls back his hand. Lightheaded doesn't even begin to describe it. Dizzy. Nauseous. About to barf. That's a more apt description. I stumble back and forth to keep myself upright, trying to cling to the nearest flat surface, but it doesn't really help. The ground is moving underneath my feet. Where there were 2 people before, I now see 4, swaying from side to side as everything spins around me. It's like I'm out on a raft in the middle of the ocean. 20 minutes into this party, and I'm already completely out of it. This is probably setting all sorts of party records. Is this what being high feels like? What the hell was in those things? Shit, Chase! I recognize her voice, but when I turn to look at Lana, she's just a blur, a featureless blob of red and white, ever shifting. Chase, are you okay? What's wrong with him? Someone's tugging at my arm, but gravity's currently working against me in every possible way. Hold on, come on, get up! The moment I let go of that cabinet, I fall to the floor. Any moment now, I'm gonna sink through it. Where I'll end up, I don't know. My head hurts. My stomach hurts. The empty muffin liner is on the floor next to me. I can still make out the pink frills. Someone call 911! The despair in her voice is almost palpable. She takes a hold of my wrist. My hand just flops around when she moves it. And get arrested? Fuck no. Fucking shit, I don't know what to do. What do I do? I want to comfort her, tell her that I'll be fine, even if it's a lie, but no sound comes out of my muzzle. I try to sit and push myself off the ground, but my back just ends up hitting the floor again, followed by my ass. I hope I'm not being filmed right now. I just lay there. With my brain and body in complete disarray, like this, there's no way I'm getting up anytime soon. And despite the screams, despite the loud music, despite everything, I feel my eyelids grow heavier and heavier. The world goes dark before my very eyes, and the last thing that I think about before I'm out like a light is how comfortable the cold floor is. Jeez! I return to the land of the living with a loud gasp for air. The scent of the very strong coffee fills my nostrils. As soon as I realize I have control over my body again, I thrash in the sheets, which only leaves me tangled when I settle down. My breathing is still harsh, uneven, but I'm okay. I'm okay. Sheets. I'm in the bed, not the floor. My paws shoot up to my eyes. I rub them before opening them. There's a lot of gross shit in them. I've probably been out for quite a while. I can only imagine how bad I must be reeking right now. I'm still wearing the clothes I was wearing last night too. Fuck. The clock says it's just past 9. How I managed to get back here, I have no idea. When I try to think about what happened last night, my head just starts hurting more. Carl waltzes in like it's no one's business, wearing nothing but pajama pants that look a few sizes too big even for him. There's a piece of toast in his mouth and 2 mugs of coffee in his paws. Oh, you're up. Here, I made coffee. I can see that. Thanks, though. He sits down next to me, exhaling through his nostrils, just eating his toast. We made rules about only eating at the table, but right now I'm just glad to be awake and in good health. I speak up once my mug's half empty. So, what happened? How'd I get back here? Carl noisily swallows the last bits of toast. Well, a few guys and one girl dropped you off here a few hours after you left. A shit-eating grin slowly spreads across his face. You were completely zoned out, man, talking about random shit and giggling like a kid. It was kinda funny to watch. I glare at him and fold my arms. I'm sure it was. I'm honestly just glad all I got from it was a headache. I might not be invited to future parties, but I'd rather have that than end up dead because I couldn't handle a muffin. I got you some water and put you in bed. He takes a large gulp of coffee and chuckles. See, I can be responsible sometimes. Sure. I set the mug down on the nightstand and wipe the rest of the sleep out of my eyes. God damn, I feel terrible. So, your turn to answer my question. He tucks his legs in like a kindergartner. What happened last night? Did you really get drunk or... You know... He mimics taking a drag from a cigarette. No! My shakily uttered denial's not the most convincing, but Carl doesn't seem to pick up on it, thank God. Hell no, I was just... I had a couple too many, that's all. Even if you did try some, no fur off my back. I mean, look at me. I think I'm past just a little experimenting. I felt quiet. It's a bit awkward to admit to doing something I used to tease Carl for, especially when I fainted almost immediately after trying it. Maybe I'll tell him later, preferably when we're done with college, so it'll just be one of my many escapades. I do hope future escapades won't leave me feeling this much like I got hit by a train, though. I finally sit up. God, my back's stiff as it can be. What have you been up to while I was out? Studying, believe it or not. That and laundry. He stacks the 2 cups and stands up. I washed your stuff too. Should be done by the time you're done with your shower. You got a lecture to go to, right? Oh shit, yeah, the lecture. I bury my face in my paws and rub up my temples. I should be able to make it if I hurry. Looks like I woke up just in time, and surprisingly enough, I have Carl to thank for it. Hey, Carl. He turns around, nearly dropping one of his coffee cups. Hmm? I shoot him a smile. Thank you. Want to play some more Claws of Destruction when I get back? You're on. And that was Party, a story of how Chase tried an edible and then apparently was a very big lightweight. I'm not going to say anything because I take edibles from time to time, but wow, Chase is a lightweight. So yeah. So this is around the time when Chase and Carl were both living together while Carl was still at Pueblo University before he had his breakdown and decided to leave. So yeah. So now the next story is Metaphor. I believe the story revolves around Flynn and Leo, and is actually around the time where Chase decides to tell Leo that he has a school project and he's going to do it about Echo. So you can guess what the conversation that they're going to have is about. It's actually one of the shortest of the stories, I think. So anyways, without further ado, let's begin. September 2014. Scales glistening with perspiration seen through his open button-down shirt, Flynn hefts some boxes down the roller conveyor. The Gila briskly walks over to his pallet jack, pumping it vigorously. He drags the stacked-up pallet of 15 packs of 24-count spring water bottles across the stockroom to the truck's trailer. Dumping the pallet in, he drags the jack back out, haphazardly abandoning it mid-walk as he gets to the clerical counter. He picks up a clipboard, checking off the work he just did, examining the list intently. His tail whips back and forth. The orange splotched patterns look metallic in the sparse, incandescent light. He's been working overnights at this distribution center for nearly 8 years, and for some reason, he hasn't grown numb to it. Flynn plops the clipboard onto the counter. patting his pockets with his scaled claws, and pulls out a pack of cigarettes and a lighter. Sean, an armadillo, sees him walking towards the side exit. Where do you think you're going? Taking my break. Sean rubs his face with both paws. Okay, you're really doing this tonight? You know we still got 4 traders left to fill, right? Flynn pops the cigarette between his lips. Yeah, and we still got 5 hours in this fucking shift. I'll be back. Your shift lead. You know where to find me. Flynn leans against the building, unlit cigarette in his mouth, fidgeting with the lighter. It sparks over and over again, never igniting. He sighs, slipping the lighter back into his pocket and switching it out with his phone. He scrolls through a few posts on social media, checking his messages, staring idly at his home screen. He perks up at some distant revving. He picks out the familiar pickup truck from across the parking lot, greeting it as it pulls up. About time. Were you too busy fapping at the moon? You'd like that. You're just lucky I happen to be up, otherwise you'd have no one to talk shit to. Flynn chuckles. Leo nods his head towards the Gillis snout. Thought you don't smoke anymore. Flynn takes the cigarette out of his mouth. Yeah, I don't. So, what, you just like chewing on them? Flynn clears his throat. Yeah, actually. Alright, man. It's great if you quit, but you know I don't care what you do, right? No, He lets out a breath. I'm serious, I quit. I don't like them. It's like you keep the thing that kills you between your teeth, or whatever. It's from a movie. That's really fucking cheesy, man. Flynn pockets a cigarette and shrugs. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just liked it. Leo rolls his eyes, letting out a sighing laugh. He puts his paws behind his head and leans back against the building next to Flynn, looking up at the full moon. He reaches over, running his paws softly over the Gillis head spines. The reptile closes his eyes for a moment, humming at the touch. He looks over the glistening piece of silver on the wolf's wrist, shining in the moonlight. Leo looks too, their eyes locking briefly. Flynn snickers. Your eyes are weird as hell. You say they're brown, but they always look red in the light. Ha, yeah, I've been told that before. Leo pulls his paw back. Why'd you stop? You know I like having my spines petted. Oh, my bad. I'm just messing with you. You're in a really good mood. Heh, yeah, just touch-starved, I guess. Aw, you need me that bad, huh? You want to make cuddles at work a regular thing? Settle down. I can get better tail than you whenever I want. Fuck you. Name the time and place. They laugh for a while. They fall into a comfortable silence, listening to the sounds, looking at the sky. So, he's graduating in about a year, right? We're supposed to be having some sort of reunion? Leo leans back against the building. Jenna and Tej, too. Exciting, right? We'll be a crew again, just like back then. Sure. Flynn takes the cigarette back out and rolls it around in his fingers for a bit before returning it to his mouth. You don't seem all that excited. Flynn keeps it in his mouth as he speaks. We've had separate lives these past few years, Leo. And a lot has happened too. Some of it, well, you know, some of it's fucked. Just don't be surprised if it's not the same. Leo sighs. Maybe. Either way, though, it'll at least be nice to see everyone again. For sure. Flynn takes the empty lighter back out. He strikes it once, twice, like that many times he has before, when he was feeling nervous or just needed something to do with his hands. He watches the sparks dance and die, searching desperately for gas, never finding any. He lifts the cigarette out of his mouth, eyes falling away from the wolf. He inhales. And I need to know where we stand, Leo. I don't want to get caught in the middle of that shit again. None of us do. The red wolf's shoulders ease down as he lets out a ragged sigh. He runs a paw up his snout, rubbing his eyes with his fingers and thumb. Then he looks back at the towering reptile. I love you and Chase as friends. Very good friends. That's good enough for me. Flynn studies the determined look on Leo's face. He puts the cigarette back into his mouth. When he speaks again, it's level, almost monotone. I guess that's okay. If that's all you want. What do you mean? Flynn shrugs. Nothing. As you can see, that was a very short story. If you don't know what they're talking about, and you haven't done Flynn's route or seen my video where I focused on the confrontation between Chase and Flynn, then... And this is spoilers, okay? So this is spoilers. What he's talking about is the fact that Flynn and Leo hooked up a while after Chase left because Leo felt alone, and Flynn is like, well, I have a hole for filling. And that didn't end up that well, though. After a while, it was sort of like they were going through the motions, and Leo was more just doing the motions, pardon the expression, and Flynn ended up saying like, well, I'm not your damn otter or something like that, and Leo gets really upset and just cuts it off, and it just stops, and they just don't do anything. But the fact that they did something is still on Flynn and Leo's mind, and Leo conveniently leaves that out whenever he's speaking to Chase, you know. And Flynn, being in the heat of the moment and upset at Chase, decides to reveal it when the stuff happens in his route. So anyways, off to Trip. Trip is a story that revolves around Carl. And I believe in Flynn's route, a lot of these things actually pop up in Flynn's route, which it's funny. But in Flynn's route, Carl makes a mention about a time where he thought that he killed Chase, and he was having a very bad trip, and I think he was doing something worse than just marijuana. And yeah, this is that instance. So without further ado, let's begin. Trip. October 2014. I let the sugar cube roll around on my tongue, realizing how gross sugar really is without anything to go with it. Or maybe it's just the LSD. Does acid taste like anything? I guess the cube is a little bit bitter, sort of. I look over at Jeremy, whose mouth is open, and I can see the sugar cube bounce around on his tongue. Are you sure there's anything in this? I don't taste it. It doesn't taste like anything. I let the cube clack against my teeth a few times before it breaks up and starts dissolving a lot faster. No turning back now. I tap my hoof against the messy floor, making the bed I'm sitting on squeak. Jeremy grins at me. Dude, relax. Remember, good vibes, otherwise you're gonna trip bad. Him saying that only makes me more nervous, and I put my face in my paws. Shit, man. I shouldn't have done this. Can I throw it up? He laughs at me, but at this point, I'm so nervous I can't be mad at him. In a way, I'm latching onto him for guidance because I know he's done this before. No, you can't throw it up. Remember, good vibes. This is about discovering yourself. Couldn't we at least have done this outside? This isn't exactly my idea of a place I'd want to find myself in. I glance around Jeremy's trailer and wrinkle my nose. Now, my room isn't spotless, but Jeremy's place is downright nasty. Underneath the smell of pot is a layer of mold and rotting food. The light is a sickly yellow that turns everything in this 70s ass trailer into a piss-stained color. The walls are paneled wood with missing parts, and it's hard to see through the plates, bottles, and used tissue. Gross. To the orange shag carpet underneath. No, I don't want that bitch caught finding us. She's already got it out for me. He lays back on the bed, looking at the ceiling, one of his giant ears folding under his head. He lifts his head back up to swat it back into position. You're over your whole anxiety stuff, right? I told you, this ain't like pot. It's not something you fuck around with. Well, you saying shit like that is really helping. I try to keep my voice steady. He watches me for a while, then nods to his shitty TV. Wanna watch something while it sets in? Might help you relax. That doesn't sound like a good idea, but still, I'm not so sure. Wasn't I doing this to discover myself? Now that I think about it, I'm not really sure why I decided to do this in the first place. Maybe to figure out why I'm so goddamn broken? He takes my silence as a yes, though, and goes over to a splintered shelf to pull out a VHS. His TV is so fucking old, it's got a VHS player built into it. This cartoon got me through a whole lot of tough times as a kid. He turns on the TV and sticks it in. I watch the white play letters appear over the blue screen before it flickers to a faded out picture of a pink feline thing in a diaper. Distorted music crackles out of the TV's tiny speakers as the cat starts talking to us in a high-pitched whine. I frown. This is just creepy. Nah, that's just because I played it way too many times. Just watch and try to relax. Jeremy comes back to the bed and I lean back against the wall while Jeremy curls up next to the pillow. I'm not totally sure what the show is about since the TV is kinda quiet and the audio is all fucked up. All I can figure out is that the cat thing and his baby bird friend are trying to make something. A cake, I think, but they're making a huge mess. It feels like one of those shows that might be fun to make fun of with Leo or something, or Chase. He always laughs at the stupid shit I say. The kitchen they're in is a bright pink that almost stings my eyes, and I'm not sure if it's because of the distortion or if it was like that originally. It starts to hurt a lot, so I look up at the ceiling. I notice a whole bunch of holes in it, and there's one part with the wires hanging out and pipes inside. Suddenly, I'm really wishing I was not here. I start to grip the bedsheets because things are feeling really light. My body feels light, like a cloud, and now I know it's starting. I try to relax because that's what Jeremy said I should do, but now the ceiling is starting to move. The pattern's starting to swirl around that hole, like it's a whirlpool. No, like it's a black hole. I don't know what to think. It is kinda cool to watch, but that feeling that I'm not connected to anything isn't really fun, and it's actually kind of scaring me. I still feel like I'm floating up towards the black hole, like it's sucking me in. I jolt and take a breath that sounds sloppy because I'm drooling down my chin, and I wipe my head around to look at Jeremy. He's staring at my paw, and he looks up and grins at me. You alright? I just stare at him. How long has it been? It's just like I jumped an eon between the time I was staring at the black hole to now I'm staring at Jeremy's face. His eyes are bright white, like marbles burning into me. I try to breathe normally, trying not to freak out. Hey, watch the TV. It's alright. If it gets too bad, you can just pull out one of your joints. I turn my eyes to the TV and see that pink tiger guy again. He's pointing at the oven, talking to the bird. It's a green bird, and for some reason the orange on his wings keeps slipping off, like those feathers are a jacket that he can't keep on. I'm still not completely sure about what's going on, but now that I think I'm starting to realize. The tiger wants the bird to get into the oven, to clean it because there's shit in between the grating, stuff that needs to be cleaned off because they don't have anything to put the cake on before they put it into the oven, so the oven needs to be super clean. But the tiger doesn't really care if the oven is clean. He's gonna shut the door as soon as the bird gets inside. Then he's gonna turn it up all the way up to 500 degrees and cook the bird alive. Suddenly, I'm fucking pissed. Jeremy made me watch this shit to freak me out. He didn't really want me to calm down. He wanted me to lose my mind watching this cartoon horror show. I look over at him and glare. What the fuck is this? Hmm? He doesn't even look up from his paw. What else is he planning? If he was willing to be this cruel to me, what else is he gonna do? Suddenly, I'm really scared and breathing hard. I stand up quickly, and that's when he finally looks up at me. Carl? Dude, just leave me alone. Carl, what are you saying? Stop it! I turned away and stumbled to the door. Carl, whatever it is, it's not real. He sounds distracted, like he doesn't care. He doesn't even get up off the bed to follow me, which is just fine. I stumble out and gasp as the cool air hits my lungs. It feels good because I'm leaving behind whatever bad shit is inside Jeremy's trailer, inside that black hole. And now, suddenly, I just feel sad and lonely. Why the fuck did I hang out with Jeremy? I stand there for a second, looking around, and that's when I realize I don't even know where I am. It's dark, and there aren't any lights on the streets. How the hell am I supposed to get home? Leo. Leo can help me. Just thinking about him fills me with a warm feeling, like back when I was 17 and Dad just told me he'd pay for everything. I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone. I stare at it, and I stare, and stare, and stare because I don't know what to push. The little apps keep swirling around, like the black holes. I shut my eyes, then push where I know the phone app is supposed to be. I open them again and see the keypad, and I blow out a sigh of relief, but then as soon as I push the first number, all the numbers change. I frown and push the next number, but the numbers change right before I hit it, and I spend the next 10 minutes, 20, 80, 2 hours, trying to figure it out, but it's no use. I keep shaking my phone and swearing, like it's gonna help. I finally give up and stumble to my car, trying to keep my breathing under control, because I'm on the verge of a panic attack, and I have a feeling that it's gonna be way worse than the one I had at school. For a while, I sit there in the seat, in the dark, and stare out through the windshield. I see the beginnings of swirls and whirlpools again, so I look down at my hands, and that's when I see the fur shifting around too. I close my eyes and just think about how nice the cool leather feels against my thighs. It's the drug. It's the LSD. I'm having a bad trip. I know this, but just knowing that still scares me. At that moment, I hear and feel something run past the window, then bounce over the hood of my car. I whip my head up and stare into the blackness, and feel my throat close up. Please. I say it to no one, but everyone at the same time. It comes out strangled and whiny because I'm about to start crying. Home. I need to get home. I turn on my car, but I'm not really sure where I'm at. GPS, that'll help. I lean down towards the console, trying to find the right buttons. Again, things are moving around, and the bright blue LEDs are blurring and leaving long trails in my vision. I have to close my eyes again and stab at different buttons, scaring the shit out of myself when the music starts blaring. Psychedelic rock is a lot less fun now. That thing is out there, and I don't want to attract it with noise. I manage to turn the music off, and what seems like an eternity later, I hear the words that I've been looking for. State your destination. Home. I almost sob it out, leaning back in my seat and covering my face, sighing with relief. Navigating to Pueblo. You should reach your destination in 3 hours and 32 minutes. My eyes fly open. No! I struggle to remember the stupid name I gave it. No, fat ass! For some reason, it's only hitting me now how stupid that name is, how unfunny and immature it is. How I've been so lazy that I haven't taken the time to change the name of my stupid GPS that I named 5 years ago. Again, I feel that bony skeletal thing rush by my passenger window, dragging its fingers along the glass. Fat ass, navigate home! Navigating to the University of Pueblo. No! You should reach your destination in 3 hours and 39 minutes. No! I slam my fist into the console. I'm about ready to run out of my car into the darkness screaming for help, not just because I'm scared, but because sitting still is almost as bad as being lost. I need to move. My legs are bouncing up and down, hitting the steering wheel, and it feels like I'm peeing my pants. I take a few deep breaths. I can do this. I just need to calm down. Fat ass. Stupid, immature. Yes? I pause because I know it's not supposed to do that. Or is it? I try to remember what I was gonna say. Yes? The tone is different. taunting, like it knows that it's fucking with me. It doesn't wait for me to say anything. Navigating to the thing. You have arrived. Your destination is on your left. I cower in my seat because I can feel it standing right next to me, outside the window, staring in through me through the glass. I cover my face with my paws, and I can feel tears leaking through my fingers. I stay like that for a long time. Hours stretch into weeks, stretch into months, stretch into infinity, and I fall back into the black hole. It stretches my mind, start pulling it apart along with the rest of my body. I start to give in, start to give up. Navigating home. You should reach your destination in 3 minutes. Slowly, I bring my paws down from my face. The clock says 2:23. If that's right, it's been 2 hours since I ate that sugar cube. I look out the window and see that the light is still on in Jeremy's trailer. I wonder if he's going through the same thing as me. But I'm calm now because I know why the GPS was freaking out earlier. It was stupid of me to lose my shit like that, especially now that I know that Chase is in the car, home from spring break. He's been fucking with me, trying to get me to go to Pueblo with him. I remind him that I'm tripping the fuck out and that messing with me in any way isn't a good idea. I look around and can't see him, but that's okay. It's just nice that he's here. I put the car in drive and pull into the road, start driving where the GPS is telling me to go. I'm chill now, but I still feel like something's following me. It makes me feel better that Chase is telling me about school, how much he misses me. I think I feel him caress one of my horns, which is okay because it feels nice. My car rolls along down the road, and over time, things start to blur together. Again, time stretches and distorts, but it's okay because Chase is talking to me, but then his tone gets more urgent. He's trying to warn me about something. I frown, dread starting to roil in my gut again. What now? I think about looking into my rearview mirror. I don't want to, but I do, and as soon as I do, I'm screaming. Red, bony, with black holes for eyes, then something grabs my neck. I let out a long, strangled moan of horror, and my hooves slam the gas. That moment stretches, distorts, and alters and changes like the VHS Jeremy had shown me that lifetime ago. I go back and forth. I repeat and loop, the thing killing me forever. I'm lifted out my seat, and my head slams into something, sending white lights flashing through my eyes. An explosion hits me in the stomach and chest, and now I can't breathe. Little hard pebbles pelt the back of my head as what sounds like sand being poured out onto the paper echoes in my ears. Slowly, I sag back down into my seat, and my vision is full of white, a balloon pushing out of the steering wheel. On that white are little dark red spots that keep popping up in different spots. I cough, and then there are a million of them. I stare at them, confused, and they start to dance around in a whirlpool. I crash the car. I realize, and I also realize that I've killed Chase. He'd been sitting in the car with me, trusted me with driving, and he'd hit the windshield without the horns and skull to protect him. I start sobbing. Liquids run down my face. Tears, maybe snot, but it's dark and I realize it's blood. It's probably all three of those things. Time stretches, distorts, loops, repeats. Somehow, I get home. Somehow, I ditched the car and ran up the road all the way to my house. The entire way, I try to dial 911 on my phone to get Chase some help, but the buttons won't hold still. I couldn't look at the time, but I know he's lying in a bloody heap in the passenger side footwell. As I stumble towards the house, I realize that the thing is still waiting for me. He jumped out of the car and hidden on the porch. I whimper and stare at the shadows, and then I run to the house. I stumble back and forth, the ground sinking towards the window wells like quicksand, sucking me in. I dodge around them, pulling my hooves out of the sinking grass, about to get stuck. Once I get to the back door, I shove my paws into my pockets, but there aren't any keys because I left them in the ignition. I sob again and look around desperately. The longer I hold still, the deeper I sink into the ground. Again, I almost give in, but then I see the treehouse. Like my legs are made of lead, I stumble across the yard, feeling the thing crawling after me. I lead up and cling to the ladder before scurrying up, my hooves slipping on the wood as I feel the tree start to sink as well. I fumble up through the opening, breaking through the cobwebs and snorting up dust. I crawl to a corner and curl up, covering my eyes and facing the wall. I beg Chase to forgive me because now I can't get him help. Because now I'm stuck on this sinking ship with a monster. I curl up tighter and tighter, so tight that I become my own source of gravity, my own black hole, sucking up everything around me, stretching it thin, then tearing it apart. It's only then that everything settles. My parents found me 3 hours later after someone reported the accident to the cops a few hours after I'd left. My dad took responsibility for it, so I wouldn't get tested for anything. He made up some excuse about walking to the house because he forgot his cell phone. I guess they didn't wonder why blood was everywhere and why my dad had no injuries. I realized what happened was just a bad trip, but I didn't have any plans to try that again. I guess it helped me discover things about myself. Things I'd rather not have found out. Even now, irrational fears get the better of me, and I'm still paranoid as fuck, like everyone's keeping a big secret from me. Sometimes, I'm positive they're hiding the fact that they found a dead otter in the car. So that was Trip. As you can see, Carl had a bad trip with LSD. And... ooh. So... Carl being one of my favorite characters, it's really sad to see him have to go through this. Also, the thing that Carl was envisioning in the car as Chase, at least in my opinion, is probably Tulpa Chase or Shadow Chase. Or at the very least, a little bit of that manifesting within the car. I say that because what else would manifest in Echo as Chase? But not only that, but Tulpa Chase is also a little bit antagonistic to people that get a little closer to Leo. And if you recall in Leo's route, Tulpa Chase appears outside the window when Chase and Leo are sleeping in his room. And it basically is angry at Chase and basically like yelling at him like, oh, you're back now? You're gonna replace me? And perhaps this thing, this Tulpa of Chase, was aware of what was happening to Carl, and rather than have Leo get involved, it was like, frick that. I'm gonna cause an accident. But I'm pretty sure the accident would have, happened either way, given how Carl was doing. And the monster that was outside of the car stalking Carl, in my opinion at least, was the Socket Face Man. And if you've played Flynn's route and Jenna's route, then you probably know who that is. And in my opinion, whenever that creature appears, it's whoever that person, who you should already know who that person is if you saw my videos or played the story yourself. Not exactly watching out for his friends, but sort of appearing there trying to maybe help, at least. And... okay, this is spoilers for Flynn and Jenna's route, okay? So spoilers again. So if you don't want to hear this, then, cover your ears. Or lower the volume, at least. It's my visual novel game theory that when the thing that happens to Flynn at the end of his route, you know how he appears to Jenna when she's little in his closet? I mean, in her closet? To me, it kind of seems like he's appearing to her because he cares about her. And I know that they have this very antagonistic relationship, prior to this. But if you read Route 65, it showed that Flynn and Leo would frequently go to her house to make sure that she was all right because they knew how bad her family was to her. So To me, it was sort of Flynn keeping up that. Because if I recall correctly, prior to that scene appearing, he hears her. He hears her crying, so he appears to her. And he frequently appears to her whenever something bad is happening to her or whenever she feels in trouble when she's little. And it reappears to her when she's already older, and the story of Echo and the route, her route specifically, where they're being tortured by Brian. And then later on when they have to sort of diffuse the situation with Heather. And it's sort of there, sort of like saying, like, I'm going to protect you guys. So to me, when it appeared to Carl in the back seat and basically was holding his head, it was keeping him from dying in the accident. It knew that if it didn't intervene, that Carl would die in the car accident. And even though Carl says, like, oh, that the fake chase didn't survive because it didn't have his hard head and his horns, I'm pretty sure Carl would have died either way too, had the socket-faced man, aka Flynn, not held his head or held him in place. Not only that, but Carl, although he's tripping on LSD and he describes the situation as sort of going through time, perhaps because of how Flynn is able to basically travel through time, at least, okay, these are my theories again, how he's able to basically jump from timeline to timeline, from the past to the future to the present, that it sort of helped him steady Carl a little, at least in order to mitigate what would have happened to him. And perhaps when it was sort of stalking him outside of the car, it was sort of trying to get him to get out of the car so that he wouldn't drive off and get into an accident. But, I guess we'll never know unless the writers tell me otherwise. But I guess that's one of the mysteries of Echo, You don't get to find out, so you just make your theories. But yeah, it is my theory and my hope that it is that every single time that Flynn popped up to his friends, it was him trying to do something to help or to warn them or something like that. And even though in the part where they're trying to get out of the town in almost all of the routes, and it appears to them and basically attacks them, perhaps it was trying to keep something bad from happening to them. Or it was trying to tell them that, no, you don't escape. You need to go and fix this that's happening over there. But, I guess we'll never know. It would be interesting if in Arches, because it's supposed to be like the story that sort of ties up all the loose ends and sort of closes the cycle of pain and suffering in Echo, even though there's only like 2 people living there now. If the socket-faced monster appears again and, something happens to sort of end his own cycle of, suffering. But yeah. I guess we'll just have to wait and see until the end. Hopefully he kills Brian for me and Bear. Anyways, so what are your thoughts on all the 7 stories? Or 8 if you include benefits, which I'm not going to read again. Because that's going to require a lot of censorship if I read benefits, okay? And one video with a lot of ducks, which was for the April 1st, sort of April Fool's-ish type of video, but the amount of censorship I had to do for that video was insane. Imagine what I'm going to have to do for benefits for anybody that's read it already. But anyways, but yeah, so what do you guys think? Did you like the stories? Was it worth it? Do you think that they should have been included into the main story from the get-go? I personally would have liked it if they had been unlocked as you progress through the story. But I also realize that you have to produce, content that's only for Patreon for the people that are paying for Patreon. So for me, who does pay for the Echo Patreon for Echo Project, I got to read these like 2 years ago. And so yeah, when I first subscribed. I subbed after I finished, I think it was Ad Astra or Echo. So I think it was when the first update of Kamiya popped up. So I started subbing then. But yeah. It was nice to get back into Echo. Like the Echo main story, because obviously I'm reading the Smoke Room and Arches. But yeah, I miss Carl. I miss all of them. And even though I say that they're all horrible friends to each other, like just little things that could have changed, like maybe not even living in Echo, could have changed their whole friendship dynamic. Also, I am really, I'm gonna try and ask the creator of the alternate sort of story where Sydney is still alive and see if I could read it. It's unfortunately not going to be in a visual novel format. It's just going to be me narrating a story with, you know, just some occasional pictures that fit the scene of what's happening at the time. But yeah, personally, I feel the story is worth it because it does sort of give Sydney, you know, not a voice, but a chance to live a life of what could have happened. And it's a nice story. It does have, you know, the Echo feels to it, but it's not as horrible as what happens to all of these guys. And it does include the Echo main cast. But yeah, I'm gonna hopefully ask. I say hopefully because I am very nervous of asking, but I am gonna ask the writer creator of that story and see if he will allow me to narrate it and put it on YouTube. Because I personally liked it. I really liked it. I finished the whole thing in one day when the story is still continuing, but I guess you could say that it just finished the first part. And at least the first part is really nice. It sets up the story up to the point where Chase once again arrives in Echo. So yeah. Obviously, certain events actually did happen. However, Sydney survived the lake incident. So you can guess where the story is heading. Especially with how the first part ends. Anyways, so yeah. So write down in the comments what you thought of the short stories. And yeah. So tell me what you thought. And well, I guess that's it for Echo. For who knows, unless they do something else. But I guess that's finally it for Echo. And I probably will redo Leo's route because it does include some new CG and stuff. And I am seriously debating on redoing Flynn's route because it actually includes some new CG also. And it actually does include sprites for Devin and Cam, which are not from Arches. They're their own Echo exclusive sprites for Devin and Cam. So yeah. For my bear and my coyote. I say my because I really like this story. But anyways, so thank you for watching / listening. If you would like to play Echo yourself and, do the short stories or the Echo main game yourself, then you can find it over on itch. And you can find a direct link to it on the Echo Twitter page. And you can also choose to support the Echo project as well as all the visual novels that they're doing, which is, the Smoke Room, Arches, Ad Astra Interia, Glory Hounds, and then eventually Know Your Role. So if you subscribe to their Patreon, you'll get early access to that, as well as some other stuff that eventually pops in there from time to time. So yeah. These guys, I miss them. Leo, Chase, Flynn, Jenna, TJ, and Carl. Carl, my baby. Well, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.